Introducing to you, at just 25 years old, the CEO and founder of Chaise Longue, one of the most talked about aviation startups in the world. He has been named one of Forbes Spain's most prominent businessmen of 2024. He has spoken on the biggest aviation stages worldwide, and he's working with giants like Airbus to completely reimagine the way we fly. From winning poetry contests in high school to designing aircraft seats of the future, he's a creative, a visionary, a speaker, and a relentless builder of bold ideas. He once said, "Everyone wants it, but few work for it." And he's living proof of what happens when you take action on your highest excitement. Please welcome to the show, the one and only Alejandro Núñez Vicente.
Thank you very much, Dayan and Bart, for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here. Hopefully, share some cool stories and also share with you some of the latest news.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
thank you, Alejandro. Well, we're very happy that you want to join us, of course. So maybe it's fun to talk a little bit about how you and Dayan know each other.
I met Dayan through Carla. Carla was one of my best friends in school. And then later on, she went to university in London, so we were close already there as well. And then Dayan became a friend of Carla, I guess, on a ski trip, right? You can introduce the story better, but I was introduced to Dayan through a very good friend.
Exactly. So so I used to be skiing on my ski education in Switzerland with Carla, and who's a great friend of the two of us. So Carla is from Madrid, where you're from as well, Alejandro, right?
Yeah.
And then we met up on a great, was it a barbecue the first time?
We met the first time in central London, I think, when we were going for a drink with another friend called Oscar and my girlfriend Clara.
Exactly,
We went for
yeah.
a drink in a rainy day. We tried to go into some cool places around.
Exactly. And no, the barbecue was another thing where we had a little bit too much Spanish wine and sangria, but that's another story.
We
That's
won't
another
tell that story.
No.
Okay, so Alex, how was it like growing up in Madrid, in Spain? Is it like in the center of Madrid or in like a
Yeah.
town close by?
I was born in Madrid, basically right next to the city center, and I've lived there for most of my life until I started my university career. And yeah, I think it's one of the best countries to grow in because the weather is always good, as you can see behind me. Weather in Spain is always good. And also, I don't know, it's just like the kind of Mediterranean culture that we have in Spain that I like a lot. Now that I have been in many places around the world, I haven't found any joy like the one that you can find in Spain. So yeah, I grew up in Madrid, and I try to bring a little bit of the Spanish spice wherever I go.
Great. Because you lived in Madrid, you also lived in the Netherlands, in Delft, I guess? Yeah, because you did the
Yes.
technical university, right?
Yeah, I started the university in London. I did 2 years there, and then I had the opportunity to go on an Erasmus for 1 year, and I decided to go to the Technical University of Delft, which is one of my favorite places in the world. A very, very small town in the Netherlands, but to be honest, it's full of energy and full of stories. And I went there for one whole year. Almost when the pandemic started, but I was able to enjoy the Netherlands for a bit before that happened. And I studied there for one whole year until I came back to the UK, to London, to finish my studies.
How did you end up in the aviation industry? Because that's what Chaise Longue does, right?
Yeah. So basically, since I was quite young, I've always been passionate about cars, about airplanes, like mass transportation in general, how people move around the world. And in the Netherlands, when I was studying in Delft, I had the opportunity to join a group of people or a group of students who were developing the aircraft of the future. And one of the topics that was left for me to choose from was the economy class seat of the future. And that's when I started to decide, just as a university project, to start working on it and realized that it had much more of an opportunity than I ever thought when I tried to push it into the actual aviation industry of today.
Great. But what do you think? What do you think of your study time in when you lived in the Netherlands? Was it like with the parties and those kind of things?
To be honest, when I went to the Netherlands to study, I was still quite young and a little bit more naive. So I didn't do all the partying I should have done. But at the same time, I think that was the exact reason why I decided to start my studies and work a little bit harder on my curriculum, which was in this case the airplane seat project. But yeah, I did enjoy some of the Dutch nightlife and also the adventures that you can have during the day. For me, one of the highlights definitely is riding the bike through storms, winds, snow. I don't know, whatever is happening. A tornado could be happening. People are still on the bike, and that's one of my highlights of the year I lived there.
Exactly. It's it's a cycle country, and But yeah, we don't care necessarily. Okay,
Yeah.
so because how long you lived there in the Netherlands for how long period?
I lived there for, I think it was 7 months first, then the pandemic hit, and then I went back to the Netherlands again after I finished my university course for another 6 months or something like that. So in total, I've lived around a year and a half.
And what do you, so because you had some creative beginnings, like with, you won a poetry contest in high school. You
That
remember
was
that?
that was way back in the day when I decided to start writing. I remember that when I was with my friends after school, we used to enjoy a lot music and we started writing lyrics. And at some point we said, okay, let's try to turn these lyrics into poetry. And once I made a very, very deep story that I really enjoyed, and I decided to present it to a poetry contest. I never thought I was gonna win. I did it just for fun, and all of a sudden I got the first place, and it was quite a highlight for my school years.
Yeah. And do you still remember some of the text that was in there?
No, I don't remember it at all. I know it was very deep and profound and something about the sea and how ships wreck and stuff like that, but it was really cool. And I think if I read it right now, I wouldn't believe it was me who wrote it, because it was really, really good.
Yeah, because I know you now, of course, as a friend since quite some time. But because you have a very creative mind, right? Your brain is quite like with what you're doing, you need to think and visualize things. So, like for example, with the seats, like how is that your creativity? How has it brought you to where you are at the moment?
I
Like,
think I am excessively creative, and I don't know if that's good or bad, because sometimes I can spend a whole night awake just thinking about one design or one idea that I've had, and until I put it on the computer and make it happen, materialize it, I don't rest, I don't sleep. So I don't know if that's a good trade or a bad trade, but to be honest, yeah, I've always been creative ever since I was young. I think I started like when I was 8 years old or something like that, to create city models. So I would build in a piece of paper in an A4. I would build a city with towers, cars that moved around. It was very complex for my age. But ever since then, I've been always designing, and I think that's why I decided to go for industrial design engineering in London, and then in Delft also for automotive design, because it's something that I've always wanted to do, and luckily I am able to do nowadays.
Because maybe it's a good idea to give the listeners a little bit of an idea about what Chaise Longue actually does.
Okay.
It blew up a lot, right? Because the seating idea you created, got how many views did it get online?
like a
No,
million or
I have no clue of the views, to be honest. Whenever I ask someone I've never met before, have you seen about the airplane idea of two seats on different levels? They always say yes. And sometimes it's not for the good reason. But most people that I have never met before know about the project. So it's quite cool. But yeah, if you ask me to explain it with words, it's a little bit complicated, because you need to actually see the model or see the mock-up to know how it interacts with the aircraft cabin. But basically, a very basic explanation would be that you have one row of seats at the level that you have seats nowadays, and then you have another row of seats that is slightly elevated. So the row in front is slightly elevated, and this provides passengers with more space for the upper and the lower row.
Like more comfortable, right? It's better for your posture and everything. Or
Well, the idea is that as you don't have someone sitting right in front of you, they are slightly higher. You have much more space to, for example, stretch your legs or recline. And the passengers who are sat on the upper row actually have no one sitting behind them directly, so they can also recline more. And this provides within the same passenger capacity, so the same number of passengers in the aircraft, you provide much more space per passenger for the economy class, which is where people suffer the most nowadays.
but it is not on the small 737s, which this can be in, right? Or would it
No,
be?
it's more for the wide body industry. I always explain it that even though we all think of airplanes as one thing, there are actually two types of airplane, commercial airplanes. You have the narrow bodies, which are the ones that you normally take for a flight up to 5 hours, 4 hours, the longest ones that you can do. And then you have the wide bodies, which are the larger aircraft that normally have a configuration of 9 passengers in a row. So two corridors, for example, in a 3-3-3 configuration, which are the ones that are used for transatlantic flights over 6-7 hours. Even though now narrow bodies are starting to enter the long routes as well, because they have, like for example, they have launched a new aircraft that can cover, I think, up to 10 hours with only one aisle. But that's just right now.
And how does it work? Like for people who are like in the beginning phase of their careers and they want to they have this desire to become an entrepreneur, maybe in the aerospace industry. How does it work? Like because it's not a business you just end up in, basically.
I think in the aerospace industry, it's quite hard to innovate or to be an entrepreneur because basically the entrance barrier is too high. And that's something that I never knew. I did it from being a very naive student. Otherwise, I would have thought twice about it because, to be honest, it's an industry that is very complex and the barrier of entry, as I was saying, is very high, very expensive, and only the players that are inside the industry are able to play in the industry. Otherwise, you just have to keep digging like we are doing to find someone who can actually introduce you into it.
What was your first, so to say, breakthrough with a company which is known more by the public, for example, which gave you that visibility and got you into the into the right networks?
Well, since I finished university, I started partnering with different companies in the aerospace industry. The first ones were from Spain, called Aire and 3D Seatmap. And then I started getting more attention from the international companies in the aviation industry. And yeah, I got American companies supporting the project, Italian companies supporting the project, a couple of German. So I think that it has been like an uphill, and little by little, we have been gaining the confidence of the industry to get more and more companies supporting us. And right now, we have, for example, eight sponsors, which are a lot of them in order to make the project happen. But it's what we need, the type of support that we need to make a seed fly.
And do you see actually, because like often when a idea comes to the market, right? Which is yours is very unique and super special and cool. But do you see that people try to imitate what you're doing and try to do something else or something
Similar, basically.
Yeah.
I don't think that no one dares to do something similar to us. They think that we are too crazy and too naive for what we are doing. So I think they are just letting the kids play while they are minding their own business, you know. But the good thing is that now we have had a lot of push from the industry, from, as I was saying, from some of the biggest and largest companies in the aviation industry, and that has given confidence to airlines to approach us and look at our project as a real seed and not just as a crazy idea from a couple of 20-year-olds that are trying to make an impact in the industry. So I think that's changing the mentality, and no one dares to go on two levels because it's very complex, to be honest. It's still very complex for us, so I don't imagine starting from scratch all over again.
So at the moment, it's still a concept, if I'm right. Is there an idea of when we could see this implemented in the first airplane or maybe in the private airplane or something like that?
Well, if things keep going the way they are going, I think before 2030 or around 2030, we could have these seats flying in some of the largest and best airlines around the world. Because what we are aiming for is an enhanced passenger experience. We are not trying to put more passengers in. We are not trying to make people more uncomfortable. We are trying to provide a premium experience in an economy cabin setting without losing passengers for the airline, because the airline will never agree to lose passengers, but optimizing the space, which actually makes the passenger or makes all the passengers have more space in general. So I think if everything keeps going as it's going nowadays, we could see one of these seats flying before 2030.
And maybe I'm a little bit curious to know, and maybe you can't give us a number, but just for an idea, like what kind of amounts of like investment we're talking about for these companies to develop something like this? Is it like, not just to give a number, but is it like into thousands, millions, tens of millions to implement it?
I can tell you that we have already invested close to a couple of million euros in developing the concept. And to fully develop the seats, probably it's on the tens of millions of euros to fully develop it, because not only you have to do the design, which is the nice part, then you have to do the engineering. And once the engineering is done, you have to check for all the security measures. It's actually done. We are doing it in parallel, but basically safety and security are the first two things that anyone looks when they are evaluating a seat. So the seat has to be safe. It has to comply with hundreds of requirements from the aviation industry authorities, like the American one, FAA, ANEASA, which is the European Agency for Safety. So I think tens of millions of euros.
This amount of money, right?
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
That's when you speak to the different airlines or manufacturers, what do you, especially because it's obviously like you create a need, right? Even though something is not there, you create a need
Yeah.
in the business. And how do you create it with the different businesses you speak to?
I think that we have spotted an area that no one was even exploring, which is optimizing the vertical space inside the cabin of the airplane. And this is because the aircrafts that are flying nowadays, they will be flying for the next 30, 40, 50 years. And the aircraft manufacturers are not going to be implementing 10 or 20 new designs. So what we have nowadays is probably what will be flying for the next couple of decades. So as the aircraft cannot grow larger, or not for now, the aircraft can only grow inside. So you can only optimize the space that is already inside. And that's what we are doing. We are exploring the two levels of seating inside a cabin, which is circular. I mean, the aircraft is a tube, and the area above the passengers is completely wasted right now. So what we're doing is trying to give use to that space and give that space to all the passengers, as I was saying before, without losing any passenger heads or a passenger count.
Yes, and the cabin luggage then, for example, because where would you leave the luggage? Is it still, because normally it's above you, right?
Mm-hmm. It's not very efficient. If you think about it, you can see a lot of old people and passengers with reduced mobility, so elderly people, sorry, and passengers with reduced mobility who cannot actually put the luggage up there. And sometimes, I don't know, with my girlfriend, sometimes when the luggage is too heavy, she cannot even put it over the head. So I think for me, that's not the most efficient way to store luggage. And in our design, it's actually located under your seat. So you
Yeah.
put the luggage on the floor and just push it forward, and it's stored under the seat, which makes much more sense. You don't need a whole structure like nowadays. You have the overhead cabin storage. That's a whole structure that costs a lot of money, takes up a lot of space, and actually weighs a lot, because imagine all that luggage falling on the passenger's heads. So it's very safe and very secure, and that makes it weight a lot. So what we have done is remove it completely from the central part of the cabin and put it under the seats of the passengers.
Yeah. And last year, 2024, Forbes. What can you tell about that? You was the businessman, young entrepreneur of 2024, right? Forbes
Yeah,
invited you.
that's one of the highlights of last year, I would say. We were invited to the most prominent entrepreneurs in Spain, a gala dinner, and they actually invited me to give a speech in front of, I don't know, 200 of the most prominent entrepreneurs in Spain. At the beginning, I didn't feel, I had the imposter syndrome, because we were probably the only guys there in our 20s, and all the other people were older people with much more experience in their industries, company owners, business owners, CEOs, and people who actually deserve to be there. And for me, it was like, oof, it's too early for me to be here when I'm still trying to accomplish my dreams. But at the same time, it felt really good, because I think that people are starting to notice that what we're doing is going to change the world. Maybe not now, and maybe not in the next year, but I'm telling you that in the next 2, 3 years, we will see our seats to start flying and people to start appreciating that better is possible.
Exactly. I agree. I agree with you. It's always, you need to be open for new things happening in life.
Yeah.
And that's quite important. Not being focused on the same old thing. Like, this is the way we do it, and this is how we're gonna keep doing it. But be open for new ideas, especially from people that have a completely different mindset than yourself, for example. What do
Exactly.
yeah, and you see it a lot in the corporate world, right? Bart and I, we are quite a bit in the corporate world as well, and then we do our own hobby on the side. But it's certain things can be changed, can go easier, and that's what needs to be focused on.
Exactly, exactly. And to be honest, I start to realize that we are the generation that has had the most chances to make a living out of what we like. Before, I don't know, making a podcast, you had to go to a radio station, beg for someone to give you a program, and maybe you would get one, and maybe you wouldn't. Nowadays, you don't even need to be a journalist to have your own podcast. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things of our generation, that if you use the tools that we have been given, like social media and the phones and the technology, and if you use it in the right way, you can actually live doing what you want to do, and not
Yeah.
just sticking to a job for 40, 50 years of your life, trying to pay the bills and give a good life to your family.
Exactly what you say, because now with the digital like age we live in right now, it can be so quick. You can work from everywhere. You have connection everywhere. You have internet everywhere.
Yeah,
It's not a luxury anymore. It's a commodity, basically, like the same as water.
exactly,
And
exactly.
that makes you it gives you the opportunity to basically work from everywhere you want.
Exactly. Imagine like even 10 years ago, if we wanted to make this interview, we would have all had to fly somewhere, meet
Yeah,
together, prepare it. And now we have had a couple of calls on by video call, and we're here having a
yeah.
full-on podcast interview, which
We'll
is
text you a
just,
link and there you go, right?
yeah, it's mind blowing.
Life is it's a lot easier. It's also nice, like especially when what we're doing with our podcast is we're speaking with people that are following their passion, basically, right, Bart? Following their excitement, and we want to share that with the world to inspire people and motivate people to also go after really what you want. Because as you just say, even if you are that lucky that you become 65 and you're being retired, if at that time it's still the age 65 or 67, whatever, and then first then we're gonna do our stuff. No, fuck it. You only live once. You can be laying on your deathbed and look at all the things. When I was 20 or 30, I should have done this and this. But
Yeah.
I never. What if I tried it? You never know if you don't just dive into the deep.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta play to win, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
for me there's a quote that I heard once. I think it was in social media, because for me social media is more like a motivation and training center more than a distraction one. And I heard one quote from a guy. It was a video, and the guy said, "What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?" And I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing what I want if I knew I couldn't fail, and so far I'm not failing. So I think that's the most important thing. If you try, you try hard, you very rarely fail. But of course, fail is part of the process. It doesn't mean a failure is not a failure until it's the end of life, you know. So it's just you just have to continue the failure until it becomes a success.
Same as like riding a bike, right? First time you fall, next time you fall, but you gotta keep getting up on the bike and try again,
Exactly.
because if you don't fall, you never learn.
Exactly. You fall and you stand up and you go back at it.
Yeah.
It's we would call it a lesson then instead of failing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lesson. It's a lesson, exactly.
But like you were just saying with the social media, for you it's more as an informative and a motivative platform instead of like doom scrolling and just
Yeah.
being a consumer.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it happens to me that I go on social media and I spend like half an hour or sometimes even an hour, and I feel so bad that I've been doom scrolling and just watching videos that have nothing to do with what I'm trying to achieve in life. And then I realize that if you search for the good content, there is good content. And if
Yeah.
you don't, if you take it in doses, so not 1 hour in a row, but I don't know, 5, 10 minutes, and you try to look for the good content, it's actually a motivating platform for you to go back to what you're doing and try to succeed at it.
Because also like Bart, we have like well, Alex, we know each other now quite some time. We were not every day together. I see Bart a bit more often, but we'll get to a place where that becomes more frequently. But what I want to say is like once you get like to a certain mindset or you go on a certain path where you have always been, for example, in the same group of people, and then you get an idea and you really go for it. You then the people can in your comfort zone try to keep you there, but
Yeah,
you need to break through it first of all, and then once you do that, you start to attract all the right people around you. Like whether it's because like Bart, like I stopped drinking. Bart also has been quitting with drinking for a couple months now. And but you start to attract like more and more people around you start to do the same thing. Or when you're like entrepreneurial as yourself,
yeah,
like we met each other, we connect very well. Like you and Bart also connect very well. It's like you start to attract more and more people in your life that are on a similar frequency mindset.
yeah.
And that's but that is really when you go after what you truly want, is that you see it like that as well.
I agree. I agree. And to be honest, the good thing about being an entrepreneur and in general, just having the right mindset to face problems and face any kind of thing that jumps into your way, I think that it's not a matter of age at this point. Like there's an age. I mean, when you finish university, you're still quite naive, but then you get into the 20, 25 year range, and it stops being a matter of age. It starts being a matter of mentality, because I literally have met people who are 20 fresh out of uni who have a mindset that I would love to have, and I've met people who are 50, and I can tell myself that their mindset has never been the right one, and that's why they are in the position they are in life. So for me, mindset starts to overcome age right now at the age that we are at, like 20s, 30s, something like that. So yeah, and then you start finding people with the same mindset, which is the cool part. You start sharing stories and you start learning from the failures of others so that you don't have to go through them as well.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
the most beautiful part, because when you got several minds, if you focus as one person, like you luckily have your partner, right, your girlfriend Clara, who assists you, supports you, and works as hard as you do. If sometimes maybe not even harder, you know, in the background,
I
like
would agree to that.
you're the face, but she does the background work. No, of course. But you know, if you have two minds focusing on one thing, then it will triple manifest as fast. You know, like it goes a lot faster than just.
It's the same as with horses, right? I sent it to you, Dejan, last week with the
Yeah.
Bulgarian horses. One horse can pull like 10,000 kilos, but two horses can pull 36,000 kilos. So it not only doubles because the horses double, but it
Literally.
also it goes by three basically.
It's exponential, I think, and the
Yeah.
more hands and more brains that you have into one topic, the faster and the better results you can get. So it's exactly what Dejan was saying. It's not only my girlfriend, it's Clara, it's my father. We have the sponsors, we have a lot of mentors that help us every day. So it's like 10, 20 minds thinking of the same problems and issues almost on a everyday basis nowadays with us. And I think it's the same for everyone. Once you start meeting friends like you guys, for example, Bart and Dayan, it's not a podcast of one who has to pull all the work. It's you two guys with all your contacts, all your experiences, get together and make it double or even more powerful.
That's true.
Exactly.
Being an entrepreneur, and you face challenges, right? We all face challenges. That is part of life. That's why we are here, to learn from our challenges. What has been for you like the main driving factor that has allowed you to keep pushing through whilst certain things were going not really the way you expected it to be, or like going a bit against the path that you're on, you know, like, or like it's directing you another way? How do you then keep pushing through and keep going? Is it someone in your life, or is it something you hold value to, like a
For
saying?
me, I am very privileged because I was born in a nice country, in a nice family, and I've had the right support. So for me, it's a little bit easier maybe than for some other people to say how I've gotten here. But of course, I think it's been through the support of my family, especially, and my girlfriend Clara, who have pushed me every day and have believed in me when no one else did, because there was a moment when no one else believed that this was a possible idea. They all thought I was crazy. So I think it's been that support and that kind of mentality of just keep pushing for what you believe in, that has brought me to the point where I am today. And I think that's still what drives me to keep pursuing my dreams every day. Because when most other people would have quit already, I've had a team of my family, Clara, her family, pushing for me and her to continue pursuing our dreams of changing the commercial aviation industry. So yeah, I don't know. For other people it might be different, but for me there are only two lucks in life. So you have two types of luck. First one is the luck of where you're born, because you don't have any choice on that. You're born somewhere and that's it, with one family that is one way or another, and that's it. And the other luck is the genes that you get. And in terms of gene, when I'm talking about genes, I'm talking about the health type of brain that you get, the type of, everything counts. So for me, those are the only two lacks, because from there on, it's you against the world with the lacks that you've had from the beginning. And I think that it's not a matter of where you start, but where you are going and where you end, especially. Like, it doesn't matter if I was born in a nice position now. It just matters when the end comes, where I am at in life. And I think that's the same for everyone. It doesn't matter where you're starting. It only counts when it ends.
Yeah, no, that's really nice and beautiful said. That it's, I think. So, what would you say? Would you see it if, like, that's of course difficult because you don't experience it that way, and like you have had some people not believing in you, but like the most important is if that when your family believes in you, that is a gift from the universe or from God, or what do you want to call it. So I think that. But what if you have all the odds against you, and you truly have an idea, something you see happening, you see the vision, but the odds are against you at this point. How would you see that?
I mean, it's tough because you see some people in situations that they are helpless and they just have to keep going with life even though it's nothing is working in their favor. But for me, if you like, happiness is not something that is equal to everyone, and I think you just need to find what will give you happiness and pursue it all your life, because you're never going to be happy. You need to always try to keep being happy in the future, you know? So happiness is not something that you find now, it's the pursuit of it that makes you happy. I don't know if that makes sense, and I think it's very deep. I don't know where I read it, but I think it's one of the truths in life that you are never going to be happy because you're happy now. You're going to be happy because you're always in the pursuit of happiness. And I think that people who have a tough life maybe have a different type of happiness, which is not being an entrepreneur and investing and making money and buying things. I think people are happy with very few things. Some people I've met are very happy living in a very normal house with their family, all enjoying life, all being healthy. And I think that's at the end of the day what counts. So for me, it doesn't matter where you start; it's where you end. And if you think that you're in a nice place and everyone else around you thinks the same, then that's the happiness that you're searching for.
Yeah, you got a movie about it, right? With Will Smith, Pursuit of Happiness. It's also a great movie for everyone listening. It's a
Literally,
recommendation of Bart.
that's a good
Pursuit
one.
of happiness, yes.
The Pursuit of
That's a good
Happiness.
one.
Great. So, and now you are you travel a lot, right, in life? You travel quite a bit. So tell us a bit about, because when you travel, it's mainly for work. Like you would travel maybe what, on average 40, 50 times a year, in like a lot of flights. It's not very economical, but
Yeah, I know. Not very
it's,
economical and not very healthy, but yeah, we travel around 2, 3 times per month for work and then sometimes also for leisure in the middle. So quite a lot of travel.
and what is the main, like with work, you travel to meet, of course, potential partners,
Yeah.
businesses, manufacturers, etc. But also you go to a lot of events. You have been to quite a few events when you were here in London, or you went to Dubai recently as well, or like a few months ago.
Yeah, so we travel a lot to meet partners, especially now around Europe, but it's true that we have always like 6, 7 trips around the world. So to America, to the Middle East, to Asia. And I think it's really, really cool to be able to do that because you get to meet a lot of the world, you know. But at the same time, for me, what I'm missing is kind of like a routine and living in a place for more than 1 week, because it's the most time that I can spend in my house right now in Madrid. So it's cool, but at the same time, it's not as cool as it seems. So it's just like, yeah, people will think, oh, he's traveling a lot, he's enjoying the world, but sometimes I just want to be at home reading, you know, watching the TV. I don't do that. I don't do that because I have this dream to fulfill, but I would love to be able to do that at some point when I'm more relaxed.
But I can guess you wake up every day feeling excited to look what the day is gonna bring, right?
Yeah, but not every day. Some days I don't want to go out of bed, to be honest, because it's like there are a lot of things that you need to do when you are carrying a project like this with many different people involved. And sometimes it gets tiring because not everyone moves at the same speed as you do. And for me, getting used to that has taken a lot of time and a lot of effort, because if it was for me, decisions would be taken in less than an hour. So from now, in less than an hour, we would have a decision on strategy and plans and everything. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, every day is a very cool experience. As I say with Clara, every day is an adventure because not a single week is the same as the previous one. We are not going to the office for the same amount of days. We're always in a different place, having dinner in a different kind of city or restaurant or type of food, and it's just like an adventure every day. So most days I get out of bed like, okay, ready for the day, but at the same time, some other days when there's a lot to do, I'm just like, okay,
You know,
let's just do it.
when you talk about it, there's a huge smile on your face and your eyes are shining.
So I think it's all okay. I think.
Exactly. So you love what you do. But you know what? You know what a good quote is with this? Discipline starts when motivation dies. So, and I
Literally.
think that is something especially for you and for anyone being an entrepreneur, right? Like Bart, me and Bart, you know, with the podcast,
Yeah.
you know, we were sometimes like you want to get, we obviously want to speak to as many guests as possible that are inspiring and motivating for the world, both men and women. Even though we've only had men so far, but there's women coming in the future as well. But you need to keep going and good teamwork. and communicate with each other, you know. And
Yeah.
discipline is important, and the motivation is it can be temporary, but discipline is something you just you say to yourself, I'm going to do it, and then fuck it, just do it.
Yeah. And that's very easy to say and very hard to apply, you know, when you really have to be disciplined and you have to say, okay, I have no motivation, but I have to do it. That's the toughest point. But if you're able to manage it, then everything from there on is downhill in a good way.
Exactly. So that makes you stand out from the rest. If you are able to do it, which everyone is able to do it, it's just a mindset. It's a choice. Do I want it or do I want to lay in my bed, basically, right? And just go.
Exactly.
And you got to make a decision, which is the best decision for the long term, and that's always to take action.
Yeah.
Standing still makes that basically when you stand still, everything else on like around you still moves.
Yeah.
You're basically going backwards when you're standing still.
When you're not doing anything, you're still doing something, which is nothing, you know? So
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
if you're not doing anything, you're doing something wrong, but you're doing it.
Exactly. But in your busy life, Alex, do you like exercise or something, or is it something? Because I can imagine if you're traveling a lot on the airfields and everything, you don't really have a gym or something.
No,
Like
no,
how do
that's
you?
true. That's true. And the times when we have to travel the most, you can tell. You can see my body and you can tell I'm starting to drift out of shape. So when I'm in Madrid, I try to go to the gym as much as possible during the morning because it's when you don't find anyone in the gym. So whoever has the chance and the opportunity to go to the gym in the morning, do it, because then in the afternoon you're just fighting and it becomes tedious, you know, to go and be waiting for someone to do their sets. So I try to go in the morning and do some exercise. And I also like playing sports like paddle and tennis and sometimes football with my friends. So I try to stay active as much as possible and also walk a lot. I think walking is underestimated, but it does burn a lot of calories and it keeps you active. It keeps the whole body moving. So yeah, I try to stay in shape, even though I would love to do it more often, as I was saying before with our routine. But yeah, I think it's very important. If you don't have a healthy body, then your head is just going to start spinning in the wrong direction. So it's better to stay aligned as much as possible, even though sometimes it's, as I was saying, impossible. And I get a couple of kilograms extra when I don't need them.
Exactly. I agree with that 100% because a healthy body is a healthy mind, right?
Literally.
So, and outside of your passion in the aviation, what other passions do you have? Like I know you love cars, right? Same as us.
Yeah, I love cars. So it's one of my passions, automotive industry, everything that is related to cars, looking at them, learning about the history of automotion, because at the end of the day, it's the one that pushed the world forward. And then, of course, aviation completely changed it with globalization. But I believe that automotion was the first push towards the modernization of the world, right? So I love to learn about them, and I am trying to do my own thing in the automotive industry coming up soon, hopefully.
I truly believe and know that when you follow what you're excited about and follow your passion, the right people, right circumstances come on your path. That is a fact. That is something which happens. What have you experienced in that? I know you believe in that as well. You know, like coincidence doesn't exist, but you know, when you truly go for what you want, then the right people or circumstance, situation, opportunities come in your path.
Exactly.
What is a can you think of that you met someone or a situation which would back this up, what I'm saying, basically?
Well, to be honest, it's very hard to answer that question because I've met so many people that I shouldn't have met because of my age and my position in life. I'm still not there to go and meet CEOs of airlines, and I'm not there to go and meet some kind of famous people and sport athletes and people who love what I'm doing and approach me on Instagram, which feels kind of strange because I'm the one that follows them, I'm the one that watches them on the TV every single week, doing sports, football, tennis, paddle. And then, yeah, I've had quite a few conversations and people who have approached me who are in this level of like fame that I never expected that would happen. But definitely for me is like the key highlights is that I'm talking to the people in the industry that I love, that I never thought I would be talking to them so early. I wish one day I could work for them or in their company. And nowadays I'm talking directly to the CEO, face to face, hand to hand, and it's quite cool to do that, especially if it's the industry that you love. Because at the end of the day, I'm not working; I'm just enjoying the time, and it's like kind of like a fantasy. Everything starts happening to you, and you don't know why or how.
So, as an entrepreneur, Alex, how important do you think a personal brand is? Because you've experienced it, like as you told us just
Yeah.
now, how important do you think it is?
For me, the personal brand depends on what you're aiming to do. I mean, some people believe that they can become coaches, and you see all these Instagram influencers or so-called influencers
Yeah, yeah.
trying to become coaches and everything, talking about the personal brand. And I think, but to have a personal brand, first you need to have a reputation. And in order to create that reputation, you need to work very hard. It doesn't come from a camera and a phone and you saying that you're the best for people to believe it. You actually need to work for it, prove it with work, and then let people speak about it, not you directly saying it. Because if you're saying it, first, it's very sad, and second of all, it's not going to be true. So for me, when it comes to that, I think it's better to put the work and let the people speak.
Exactly. You gotta have a stack of proof to prove that you are who you say you are, and
Yeah.
then people will evaluate it online, and that translates into your brand. That's, I think.
Exactly. Your personal brand cannot be what you say about yourself. It has to be what people say about you and your accomplishments, and then that's a personal brand. And then you can start making something out of it and materialize it into something that benefits you. But until then, I think people are very far from the idea of what a personal brand is. For me, the personal brand comes after a career of work or after a huge achievement that no one can deny.
What makes you the most happy in life, and what makes you laugh as the most? What are things that make you super happy, and what would make you laugh?
Being able to do what I do is what makes me happiest in life, and do it with the people I like to do it, because I love to work with my girlfriend. I love to work with my father. So I think those two factors are for me the most important to be happy. Do what I want to do with the people I want to do it. And also, I don't know. You said about what influences it? Sorry, the second
No,
question.
and what makes you laugh? What are things you
Um,
find funny?
what makes me laugh? What makes me laugh is, yeah, I don't know. Makes me
You know, some
laugh.
some people would say, whilst you're thinking, some people would say, like, when you're driving in a car and farting in a car and then not saying anything and keeping the windows closed until someone smells it.
No, I don't. I only have one thing, and it's that I don't like fart jokes, and I guess you know why it comes that because of all the social media viral thing about farts. But yeah, no, for me, what makes me laugh is actually sharing time with my friends and very good friends, because I know I can be as open as I want and say the things that I want, and everyone is just going to have a good laugh. So for me, yeah, doing what I do and working with who I work is probably what makes me laugh the most as well.
Because some people would say, because that is serious, like, you work with your family, right? And you hear a lot of people that will be like, I would never do something with my brother, sister,
Yeah,
girlfriend, wife, partner, whatever it is, or dad or whatever.
yeah,
But you are like a real proof of that it can be the other way around, because you do this for many years already.
yeah.
And yeah, what would you say to people that have that mindset? Like, it also depends on what family you have, of course, but like, you are able to do it, and of course minds needs to be aligned, and sometimes you need
Yeah.
to swallow something a bit more, and sometimes give a bit more, or receive a bit more.
Yeah, it really depends on the personality of the people that you're talking to, because I know some people that say, "Oh, I would never be able to work with my girlfriend or my husband or my wife on this or on a project." And sometimes I get it, because some people have clashing personalities. Like, they are very good as a couple, but when it comes to personalities, they are kind of the same personality, and uh, they repel. Like, when you have two people with the same personality, they repel. But if you find someone, like in my case, that has that is the complete opposite of you, it's like the yin and yang. It fits perfectly one into another, and I think that's the perfect combination. So I know that I am very lucky, and not everyone has what I have, and that's probably one of the reasons why we are where we are, or what we do what we do.
It's the same as like with the magnet, right? You have some sides they can't attach. They will never attach, and then you turn them around, and then it just clicks.
Exactly, exactly. And I'm not saying that they are not with the right person. Sometimes you just work in an industry where you don't need your partner, and to be honest, it's better that way.
Yeah.
But for me, the only reason why the project is still going is because of the support of my girlfriend, which is quite the opposite of me in terms of personality and everything, and also my father, which is like I am the nervous and the excited and the one that is having all the crazy ideas, and they are the ones who are actually filtering them down, putting them into down to earth, and then that makes the perfect combination. As I was saying before, having multiple minds thinking about the same brings always the best results.
100%, 100%. And
Yeah,
so live, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
flying in my seat,
Exactly, that
taking
is it. Yeah.
taking off with a cocktail in my hand, cheering with my family and friends, and
And
celebrating
enjoying
that we
life.
made it. Celebrating that we made it. Yeah.
Mm. That's gonna happen, if you have
It's
that
gonna
clear
happen,
vision.
100%, for sure.
Exactly.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, and we have to keep the hard work to make that happen.
Everyone will be sitting in a chair long.
But yeah, you will be for sure. We will have a podcast there. Remember this.
Yeah, we'll
Yes.
do, we'll do.
And we'll go back to this moment in time, and we'll sit there and enjoy it.
Agree.
So what
We
if
will
you
we will do the podcast mid-flight. We will be
Mid-flight.
sitting there. It's a three abreast configuration, so the three of us can be seated right next to each other with a camera in front, and we'll be talking about how we made it happen.
we're not so everyone listening, this is not a joke. This is something truly happening. When we say something, we do it, and it's gonna happen. So just so
It's
you know,
gonna happen. Yeah, for sure. I have no doubts. Sooner or later, but it's gonna happen.
Now we got
1000%.
video evidence of saying it, manifesting it, and then
100%.
putting it into work, and then taking action upon it, and
Yes, sir.
making it a reality.
What is your belief in life? What do you hold value to, like regarding beliefs that you have? Perhaps not religion, but if so as well. But
For me, there's only one important thing because most people focus on religion and political parties and mindset and this and that. But for me, if you're a good person, you're a good person. And you can easily tell who's a good person and who has twisted intentions or who's looking for their own benefit. And, so for me, if you're a good person, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter where you come from or what you think about certain topics, because to be honest, you have to learn that no one thinks the same about all the different topics that are going around the world right now. And especially with social media, you tend to see this polarization, and I cannot be friends with this guy because he thinks this or he thinks that. To be honest, you have to be open because you never know what the other person has lived or seen or been through. So if it's a good person that you're talking to, then that's all that matters. So that's what moves me and what I believe the most. Nice people meet nice people, and when you detect someone that is not nice, then just let it go. Don't be rude. Just
You
keep
attract
going.
what you give, right? If you give positivity, you'll receive possibility. Of
Exactly.
possibility, positivity.
Exactly. I love that.
and knowing that even though you are positive, you can still experience people that are on a so to say lower vibration or more negative. But like it
Yeah.
is something which is happening outside of you. So just skip it. Don't let other people, even though by do something they say or do, don't let it make you feel bad. Just stand in your own power and maintain that positive energy.
Yeah. And try to be nice. So, like sometimes we
Exactly.
do the wrong thing, and even myself, like I try to be as nice as possible, but sometimes if something crosses me, then I get very angry, and that's not how I like to be. So I tend to reflect on it to not do it again, and hopefully be a nicer person in the next time I get across a situation that can trigger me like that.
Exactly, and then it's a lesson. Lessons are always good.
Exactly, and then it makes you become a better person. And at some point in age, you are flawless, and you never commit a mistake, and you're a nice person all the way through.
You'll never become flawless, I guess, but if you become 1% better every day, every year you become 35 times as good as you were last year.
Literally, and that's what you have to think. 1% better every day.
That's the
Bart,
trick.
I would say Bart is quite flawless when he does his things. Don't you think, Alex?
I can tell. I can tell.
I'm not flawless. I
Never,
wish.
never met in person, but I can tell only from the conversations that we've had.
You're gonna come so next time because we have our studio in Amsterdam, right? Now I'm tuning in from London. Bart is tuning in from like close to Amsterdam, and you're tuning in from Santander.
Yeah.
But next time you'll be in with us in the studio in Amsterdam.
Oh yeah, definitely. I cannot wait to go back to the Netherlands. It's always whenever I go back there, it's always a good time. And to be honest, if it's when the weather is good, even better. But yeah, I love the Dutch culture. I love Dutch people. I know some people find Dutch people very arrogant, but I like that kind of arrogance from the Dutch people because you guys know what you're doing, and therefore it means that you're secure and safe about what the image that you portray is that you're secure, safe, and that I love the Netherlands for that. We miss a little bit of that stiffness in Spain, to be honest.
Exactly. We're quite direct in
Yeah,
general that they would say.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I love. How direct, like how serious you guys are about certain topics.
Yeah.
Here in
Yeah.
Spain, everything is a joke.
You know, people try to beat around the bush, as they would say here in the UK, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's true. No, but it makes
good
sense because you
definition.
save time. Like if you, when you do business as well, like I'm in quite international market also and meet people from all around the world. But just be straightforward, say how it is, and like obviously be kind and respectful to people, whoever it
Yeah,
is or wherever they're from. But just say, hey, is this something you like or not? And then we can quicker go to the solution and the answer. So that's
yeah.
advice to your younger self, your 12, so when 15-year-old self. What would that be?
The one that I keep giving myself every day, don't let anyone clip your wings. Like, don't stop for anything or any other reason that is not your gut telling you to stop. Because people will try to block your way, they will try to tell you you're not in the right direction, but if it feels right, it's probably right.
Okay, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. What do you
I think it's a very nice message to tell yourself, even if you're in the aerospace
Yeah,
industry. Of course, clip your wings. It's a nice one.
that's why I say it. It actually has a reference to
I
aviation,
can
so
see
yeah.
that.
so anything what you also always have like nice ideas. We have discussed in private some great ideas you have, and I think we're gonna keep it like that. But there are things in the future also coming once Alex has gotten his elevated seats and his new seat design into the market. He's gonna focus on some new things, which
Maybe even before. Maybe even before.
and
Maybe in the process.
exactly, and we've already discussed that. Well, especially I and I think Bart, if we'll speak with Bart about it, but we would be involved in. So it's won't know what it's going to be yet. But how can people follow you, for example? How can they know what you're doing with your work? How to follow your work?
We are very active on LinkedIn, even though now it's summer. We are mostly active on LinkedIn. So if you just put my name, Alejandro Núñez Vicente, you will find me there. And if you want to connect there, it's always great to add more contacts into the list. And then also I have my Instagram, which is a little bit more rusty, I would say. I don't post as much as I should, but at the same time, I don't really care about my online presence on those kind of social media platforms. I prefer the serious one like LinkedIn. But on Instagram, I will start posting a little bit more after summer, and it's alex.nvb. Or if you put my name, it will also appear. Alejandro Núñez Vicente will also appear
We'll
the
tag you, of
reference.
course.
Perfect.
Exactly, and because by the way, you have been filming also when you went to the event in Hamburg. When you drove with the car from Spain all the way there, you have been filming it. Where can people see that? That's seriously quite interesting.
We are keeping some of the footage for the future. So we're recording a lot. We're making videos out of almost every step that we take, but we are not going to share that unless we make this project happen. So that's another good reason to make it happen so that people can see how the process was all the way from the beginning. Because we started filming from the beginning as a joke, like, we'll never make this happen. And now it's like, okay, if it happens, we need to actually share this with others to show that if you follow your dreams carelessly about what everyone else says, then you're gonna achieve them. We have to make it happen.
So it's another reason to keep up to date of the social medias of Alex.
Yeah, yeah. I need to actually start posting a little bit more. But as I was saying to you before, I try to use it as a source of motivation and not a distraction. And as soon as it becomes a distraction, I just try to swipe it out of my screen.
So it's something people can expect in the future, near future. Let's say that.
Yeah, we have a lot of announcements coming up, especially on LinkedIn. I will try to make them also on Instagram. We have a lot of announcements coming about the project, about new things coming up, and also about general life.
Amazing, very good.
Yeah.
So, if you could share anything with the world, people listening, whether it's people that are over 50 or under 50, or young, or women or men, what would that be? And
Uh,
whilst you think of that, we had in the previous two podcasts, we had our sponsor Barber by Hairdo, and we are going to give away like a package of all those products. So if you are still very interested in it, then leave a comment under this episode or any of the other ones with why you would need, for example, growth serums for your beard or anywhere else, or barber wash or shave gels and so on, or like wax. So let us know why, and maybe you will be the one that is going to receive it, both for men and women. But yeah, if you want a beard.
I would need some of that to grow some hair on my face because with this baby face, I need some
Well,
barber to come and help me.
I think the two of us can share that, right, Bart?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, as you can see.
Literally.
So
But
I'm happy with it. Like I am very happy.
you know what? We'll send you. Would you want to have the giveaway package? I'll send you a package to
Oh,
Madrid.
of course, of course. I will try to use it with the very few hairs that I have in
Yeah.
my face.
I'm gonna send you the package, and you'll make a picture with it and send it back to me, and I'll share it on the Instagram.
Definitely, definitely.
Good. Okay. Well, I think there was a great episode and opportunity for everyone to learn more about what you do. Getting back to my last question, if there's anything you would like to share with the world, what would it be?
Oof, I feel like I've shared a lot of what I believe or my
Yeah,
beliefs, you know, but
definitely.
if there was only one thing, it's that, I mean, there's only one life, so you need to enjoy it. Work hard, play hard. That's my motto. Like if you go on my WhatsApp, that's what I say. Work hard, play hard. When you work, work, and when you play, just play.
Amazing.
Yeah,
keep
thank you.
enjoying the process, right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And when you're working, know that you're working in order to play after, because at the end of the day, we are older or younger, but we are all kids. So just make sure that you make the effort in order to be able to play hard as well. And yeah, for me, it's been great to be here people like me talk because not so often you hear a couple of youngsters with a podcast. You know, I've been to podcasts, but it's normally much older people with different ideas, and it's been a fresh interview what I've just had with you guys, and I loved it. So thank you so much for inviting me, and I hope that if only one of the thousands of messages and motivation speeches that we've given, if any only one of them goes through to the people listening, I think that's enough for them to start pushing in their own direction.
I think as well. And I really appreciated that you took the time to join us with the podcast, of course.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Alex, and to everyone who's listening. We'll be back soon with another episode. You can keep following us on Spotify, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, and on any of the other Spotify podcast platforms that you can listen to us on. You can subscribe, click on the bell, leave a comment if you have gotten something out of this episode. What is the main thing that you got out of this episode? Leave it in the comments. We'll reply, and if you have any questions, we would love to help you. And if any questions to Alejandro, we will share it with him, and he will come back with his answer. So thank you so
Great.
much for watching, everyone, and listening mainly, of course. And we'll see you in the next episode.
See you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much. Bye bye.